Welcome to Threads, Tracks and Community Roots. This documentary covers Banbridge and its culture. This town has many stories and historical events throughout its history. From being one of the biggest producers of linen in Ireland and a major producer in the UK, to having historical figures who had been raised in the town or had spent a few years of their life within the town, such as Francis Crozier, who explored the Arctic, to Ernest Walton, who spent a few years of his childhood in the town before going on to go into nuclear physics. And while the town is packed with details and stories, we will be focusing on two distinct locations for this documentary. The first being the Cut. The Cut was a major engineering piece that involved digging through one of the main hills in the town. This hill being steep and difficult to go over with ease of carriages. The Cut being a way to east traversal through the town, and since then became one of the town's main focal points. And while this slice through the hill allowed for easy traversal through the hill, it was decided to put a bridge over this gap to allow for traversal over top. The bridge being one of Europe's first flyover bridges. The bridge's official name on paper being the Downshire Bridge, though it is nicknamed the Jinglers Bridge today. The name Jinglers Bridge being due to a woman. This woman, originally being from Lurgan, would go onto the bridge and sell apples to those crossing over. The name Jingler coming from her habit of jingling coins in her pockets to attract customers. And while this bridge has stood the test of time, there have been times where fate tested its strength, following multiple instances of lorries catching onto the bridge. The drivers thinking they could squeeze through and save time, only to wind up snagged with the roofs of their lorries getting torn up. And at some points, the Cut had been modified to try and give more clearance for taller vehicles to try and prevent this in the future. Speaking of changes to the bridge and to the Cut, there has been a great span of time, and as such there has been a mix of small and more noticeable changes through time, changing some things to the Cut and the surrounding area, changing to match the town's redesigns and modifications to be more modernised. Though despite that, the bridge itself and its role in the community has always remained as it did back when it was established. And as the town's centre point, it gets used for yearly events and traditions. Some such events being the likes of the bands marching through as people watch over from the bridge above, or the likes of the Christmas markets that take people through the Cut, being one of the few instances where people can go through and under the bridge on foot, in which they would usually have things like snacks or food from pop-up vendors and other such events that would happen throughout the year. The building that the coach would later be in was bought in 1969 by the club owner's parents. At the time, the club started off as a disco, Dobos Disco, one of Northern Ireland's first discos. When it came to building up the coach and establishing it, the owners had seen a glimpse into nightclubs from England. Whenever it came to seeing all the things that those nightclubs had, they wanted to bring over to Northern Ireland, as they saw that the coaches at home were a few years behind. And from this, they further modernised the coach in order to bring up its status. This modernisation had helped to elevate the coach, bringing in the first laser light shows and moving nights. As this occurred, the coach began to become one of the country's biggest nightclubs, bringing people from England, Republic of Ireland and from beyond, pulling in people from Belfast, Dublin, all over. And as it built up a status, some would claim that people came in from across the seas, becoming a major source of traffic in and out of the town. As its popularity continued to elevate and became a legendary place to hang out, it also got a lot of coverage. As time went on though, after a certain point the coach almost became a part of the town itself, so much so that whenever someone became of age to enter, it was almost considered a rite of passage to enter. Come 2019, two big things had occurred. One big one that a lot of people would point to and recognise would be quarantine and COVID. Some people reasonably assuming that it would have had a big hamper on the coach, given the inability to go in or to be around a lot of people. It was also around this time, though, that Bran, one of the owners, had passed away. Following this, some people said that some things had occurred whenever it came to changing ownership. Some said that people tried to reorganise the interior in order to add more private spaces or try and rent it out, but there were also other things that had hampered the coach as time went on. Some saying things like the smoking ban could have ruined it. And following these events, in the 4th of November 2020, the coach is shut down, being sold off to become a cafe for a church, now losing its status as one of the biggest clubs in Northern Ireland. Although these facts are interesting and give some good insight into the town's culture through the information alone, it would be best to learn more about the town's culture and the people's experience through an interview. We have an audio interview now, and we hope that this gives you a better experience from someone in the town. Please enjoy.
Banbridge has changed a lot over the years, especially from the troubled times. People might not realise how much the town has grew, especially since the two bombs that happened in the town. If you were new to the town maybe about 20 years ago, the town alarm used to sound at the welcome. If there was any trouble in the town, it would be something that people definitely wouldn't have expected to hear, or maybe not know what to do. But Banbridge has grew a lot since, and people have come together, and it has changed and grew a lot, and has become very modern since. And communities have started working together, and it's a more friendly, positive atmosphere in the town. My favourite thing about the town, when I was younger, maybe it was the coach and the social life, the Belmont, the Barnacle, and all the pubs as a young person. But now, growing up, maybe it would be the sense of community in the town, how everybody pulls together, especially if somebody's moving out. The town helps each other. When I was doing work for the homeless, there was a multitude of people who are willing to donate and help. So Banbridge, probably my favourite thing would be that it is very community based, and there's a lot of help out there for anyone that needs that help. The linen industry for me would be a simple one, because my mum, she's one of the few remaining qualified stitchers, linen people in the town. There's not many left, so the younger generation wouldn't know much about it, especially now that many of the linen factories in Northern Ireland have closed down. But Mum, she worked in near the Dells in Franklin's factory. She would know her linen trade very, very well. Unfortunately, it seems to be something that Northern Ireland is losing. But Banbridge definitely was one of the booming towns for linen. I would describe Banbridge to somebody who's never been as a very socially growing town. Well, maybe up until IT took over, and young people have plenty of options, especially up at the outlet now with it growing up there and the new bowling alley coming in. Has definitely changed a lot over time. The coach.
I hope you enjoyed that interview and understand more about the town's culture and history through the perspective of someone from the town. That's all the time we got for now, and I hope you enjoyed and have a grand day.